Gabe Cook here with Debate Kansas City as we continue our series, The Speeches of Policy Debate. We are down to the final two speeches, and we will begin today with the second negative rebuttal, or the 2NR. It's a very difficult speech, I think just as difficult as the 1AR, and it's really important because debate rounds often come down to the last two speeches. If the round has been close, then it's up to you in the last rebuttal to crystallize the reasons that you deserve victory in this round. As always, I'm going to give you 5 easy steps for preparing and delivering an effective second negative rebuttal. Without further ado, let's get into step number 1. Look for 1AR errors. As we mentioned previously, you have the block where the negative makes a whole bunch of arguments, and then the 1AR has a limited amount of time to respond to them. So what you want to do is as you're flowing and listening to the 1AR, you want to look for arguments that they mishandled, arguments that they dropped. And here's something to keep in mind. Just because an argument was dropped doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a round winner. In fact, a very smart 1AR will often, to save time, drop a couple arguments here and there that they don't think are going to make a big difference. However, if the argument that they drop or undercover in the speech is one that you think you can win the round on, then you need to pay special attention to it and you need to hammer it home. The 1AR, they have a difficult job and they're bound to make a few errors. Find the most significant errors and capitalize on it. Let's check out step number 2. Predict what the 2AR will say. Now this one's a little bit harder, and advice I would typically give more senior level debaters, but I think everybody needs to think about this no matter what skill level you're at. If you're the second negative rebuttalist, as you prepare your speech and look to deliver your speech, you have to consider how the affirmative team is going to try and win the round. They have the last speech of the debate. You don't get to follow them up with any arguments, so their words are the last words the judge is going to hear. That means what you need to do is try to predict what those words will be and put a little message in the judge's head that I knew exactly what the 2AR was going to say and I have already responded to it in advance. If you can do that, it will take you to a whole nother level, and it will also help you map out the second negative rebuttal. So here's what you do. You know where the debate round is at, you know what arguments have been dropped and undercovered, and so you try to predict how is the affirmative team going to try and win this debate. Once you predict that, you position yourself so that in your speech you might say, now the affirmative is going to tell you this in their final rebuttal, but they're wrong because. If you can do that, you can really push back against the power of the 2AR, and you can develop a better strategy of your own. Because ultimately what you're doing in the second negative rebuttal is comparing and contrasting the approaches that the two teams have taken throughout the debate round in defending why your approach and your arguments have been better. So look for errors that the 1AR made, predict how the 2AR is going to try and win the debate round. And that leads us into step number 3. Tell us why you win. Over and over and over. Tell us why you win. You want to build your speech from 3 or so reasons that you win the debate round. I would in fact start my second negative rebuttal with an overview. And I would say, we win this round because. And I would lay out my 2 or 3 reasons that I believe are the most important reasons I win the debate round. It is absolutely vital in the second negative rebuttal to consistently remind the judge why you win the debate round. In sales, they might call this closing. In debate, it's winning a rebuttal. And you consistently give the most important reasons you win the debate round. If you've won an economy disadvantage or you think you're winning an economy disadvantage, tell the judge, we win the round on the economy disadvantage for these 2 reasons. First of all, it flips back the affirmative case because our evidence says that when the economy gets worse, the environment gets worse and all other problems are more difficult to solve. Second of all, if the economy really falls into a state of Great Depression, it makes it possible that great power countries go to war, which would have horrific effects for the entire world. These impacts are bigger than any that the affirmative team can claim, and the economy disadvantage is the most important reason we win this debate round. All right, that's just a quick top of my head how it might sound, just to give you a little slice of how a 2NR might sound. So you want to consistently be giving the reasons that you win the debate round. So once you come up with the reasons that you win, you then build the rest of the speech in the 2NR based on those reasons that you win. And you try to fill it in. You know, if, for example, I say I win the debate round on the economy disadvantage, I wouldn't then only want to spend like 15 seconds on the economy disadvantage. The reasons I win dictate where I'm going to spend my time. So come up with the reasons you win and build your speech based on those reasons. Now let's check out tip number 4. This one's pretty simple. Extend key evidence. After a debate round, if a judge wishes, they can ask for your evidence so they can read it. That means in your last couple speeches, you want to be emphasizing the best evidence that you've read in the debate round. Tell the judge why the evidence is so important. Compare it to the evidence of your opponents and say why your evidence is superior. Maybe it has more facts. Maybe the data is more recent. Maybe the author is more credible. Maybe the publication is less biased. There's all kinds of reasons that your evidence could be the sweetest evidence in the debate round, and what you need to do is let the judge know why. And if it's a really close debate round, they may call for the evidence that you've read, but they're only going to call for the evidence that you name. So in your second negative rebuttal, be thinking, what evidence do I really want the judge to remember? What evidence is going to be most useful in locking into the key reasons I win this debate round? Step number 5 is the hardest to learn. Don't go for too much. Look, we've had this debate round. We've had about an hour's worth of arguments, and now you have to break down those hours worth of arguments into 3 or 5 minutes. That's tough. That is really tough. And what you're going to do, what your first inclination is going to be, is every argument you think you're ahead on, and really every argument that's still out there in the debate round, you want to get to and you want to cover and you want to talk about. That's not the best approach. Think back to step 3, the reasons you win the debate. Build it from there. And don't go for too much. Don't have too many reasons that you win the debate round. Otherwise, you're not going to crystallize. It's not going to sound simple as the negative wins the debate round for these couple of really important reasons. Instead, it's just going to be you running through and flying through your speech and getting through all the arguments possible. You have to learn to let a few things go. If you've had some arguments back and forth throughout the round about like the date of a piece of evidence, maybe at this point in the round it's trivial. Or there's some solvency argument that the negative team has made that hurts your case a little bit. If it doesn't totally destroy it, maybe you have to skip it and say, you know what, I'm not going to extend that solvency argument. It doesn't really do me that much good. So don't go for too much. Decide what is most important and hone in on that. That doesn't mean that you just drop arguments left and right. You have to have the smarts to know what's important and what's not important, and that only comes through practice and time. But as you're doing it, as you're going through it, be thinking to yourself, what arguments are most important? What arguments can I spend just a little bit of time on? So, our 5 steps for the 2NR. First, you're looking out for the 1AR errors. Maybe they drop some really important arguments. Second, you've got to predict how the affirmative is going to win the round. Even if there was a really bad 1AR, the 2AR is still going to try and be tricky and look for ways to pull this debate round out. Think about those and try to cut them off at the pass. Third, frame the 2NR from why you win. First words out of your mouth should be, Judge, we win this debate round because. Make it clear. Fourth, extend key pieces of evidence. Sometimes judges read it after the round. You want to make sure that you've got the names of your best evidence in front of the judge. To do it, you typically just give the author's last name and the year. Fifth and finally, don't overkill. Don't go for every argument out there in the debate round. There may even be a couple arguments that you think you're winning, but they don't get you that much. You've got to know what to go for and what not to go for. Hope this helps. The 2NR is a tough speech, and good luck and take care.